Hi, Wes Schaeffer, the Sales Whisperer here again. Want to continue our dialogue on prospecting. In the last video, went over several different openings, several different variations of those openings you can use to get the attention of the decision maker in the first 5 or 10 seconds, because that really is the most important time. You've got to differentiate yourself, you've got to stand apart, and you do that in every little detail. So that's why we're going to spend some time again on the opening. I want to give you another variation that you can use. Now, this I learned in large part from good old Tony Perinello, selling to Vito. Great guy. I got to meet him, spent some time with him earlier this year, and hardworking guy. And his concepts they're good, they're true, they're real, they're honest, they're straightforward. And that's what you've got to be today, now more than ever. People have their BS meters on high alert, and so you can't play any games anymore. So let's go over another variation of a potential opening you can use to get the attention of a decision maker. As soon as they answer the phone, you want to use Mr. or Mrs. and their last name. Now, I know that may be a little too traditional or old school for you. Just bear with me on this, because remember, our goal is to differentiate ourselves. Our goal is to get the prospect's attention. Using Mr. or Mrs. and their last name will get their attention, because so many sales trainers in the last decade or two have been beating it into our heads how we're equal, right? We are, selling to them on the equal level. And Tony Perinello even gets into that. And we'll get into that later on. But for the moment, for that initial first 5-10 seconds, you're trying to get their attention, redirect them away from whatever they're looking at, and pay attention to you. So you get right into it. Mr. Jones, and then pay him a compliment. Mr. Jones, thank you for picking up the phone. Mr. Jones, it's great to finally speak with you. And then you get right into it. You don't give your name. You don't ask them how they're doing. You don't give them the name of the company. You don't tell them about all the trademarks and patents that you have, and all about the founder and how you got started and where your headquarters is and how many locations you have and what kind of growth you had last year, patents and awards you won, and red herring picked you. You don't get into any of that. Mr. Jones, thank you for picking up the phone. And then get into something specific, something concrete, because that's what these folks want. Decision makers, business owners, people want folks that bring value, that solve pain for them, help them increase revenue, help them decrease costs, help them improve compliance. Okay, so can you help in those areas? Great, get to it. Mr. Jones, thank you for picking up the phone. As we speak, and then give them a reference that they'll recognize. As we speak, Kaiser is currently experiencing a 20% reduction in IT costs. They are experiencing a 7% increase in uptime over the last 12 months. The net result is, in the last 12 months, we have saved them $10 million because they're using us as their IT consultants. All right, so something concrete. Now, I'm doing this in a role play scenario, so it may not flow quite as smoothly as you would on the phone. I'm trying to accentuate things to make a point for you. So, Mr. Jones, as we speak, Twitter is currently experiencing increased uptime. Give them a couple of concrete things. So I'm using an IT example. One of my clients I'm working with now is a small IT firm. Mr. Jones, as we speak, Twitter is experiencing an increase in uptime, a reduction in complexity, yada yada. List 2 or 3 things. Then the follow-up is, now those results may be difficult to duplicate. And then the transition. Okay, so you got their attention with their Mr. and Mrs. and their last name. Give them something concrete. Don't give them your name. Don't give them the name of your company. You give them a concrete reference with specific results. Now, Mr. Jones, those results may be difficult to duplicate. However, if you would like to discuss any initiatives you have around reducing costs, reducing complexity, increasing uptime, improving compliance this quarter, would you be willing to discuss those now? All right, so you start out, Mr. Jones, it's great to speak with you. As we speak, currently KMA is experiencing a reduction in IT complexity by over 50%. In the last 8.5 years, we have saved them over in the last 8.5 years, we've saved them over $1 million in CapEx and OpEx around their IT infrastructure. Now, Mr. Jones, those results may be difficult to replicate, but let me ask you, do you have any initiatives currently underway around reducing complexity, around lowering OpEx or CapEx in your IT department that you're looking to implement this month, this quarter, this year? Okay, whatever time frame makes sense. And then you shut up. Okay, so went through a bunch of things right there. About 6.5 minutes into this video, don't want to go too long. So check out my other video on prospecting, give you a few other lines to open. Coming up, I'll get into addressing and handling the receptionist, the gatekeeper, if you will. We'll talk about how to handle the brush off, right? If they pass you down to one of the analysts, or as Tony Parnell calls them, the Seymours, those that just always want to see more. We'll also talk about handling voicemail. So, but once again, if you were slow taking notes, real quickly going back over this, Mr. Importante, Mr. Bigwig, thank you for picking up the phone. As we speak, KMA is currently experiencing a 50% reduction in their IT complexity and a 25% increase in uptime. In the last 8.5 years that we've worked with them, we have literally saved them over $1 million in their IT budget. Now, those results may be difficult to duplicate, but let me ask you something, Mr. Jones. Do you have any initiatives right now around reducing complexity, increasing uptime, that you're pushing and driving forward this quarter that you would like to speak with or be willing to speak with me in more detail? Done. Okay. So there's 3 or 4 ways that can go from there. So stay tuned. And or check out my inner circle where I get into this in more detail on a regular basis. So this is Wes Schaeffer, the Sales Whisperer. Remember, life is good. It's gooder when you're selling.